something. No, there's no way, like there's no future for me, right? So I was working in different types of like jobs, like freelance, like tour guide, translator, like English to bahasa to English, something like that. Until until one day I was like, wait, my mom has a friend that has a friend, and this guy have a export company. But even then, it was no information. So I sat with him like 15 minutes, and I was like, oh, I want to learn from you. Teach me export, right? Teach me export. And it's like, export is export. That's how I was treating. Like, it's hard, but you can do it. But like, what? So what he cared of was to just supply the products to me, but I'm the one who's doing the job, the hard work. So I'm like, what is it? So 3 years ago, flashing back, when I first started in the export industry, the first year I was just struggling, looking for information. What can I do? How export works, blah blah blah. And so I didn't make any sales, just a lot of loss and a lot of what. Then the second year was actually where that's when, yeah, but oh yeah, I forget to mention, like, how do I realize that this is for me? It was because one day I sat and like nothing changed, right? And so what? I have a law degree, and then my mom, she was working for a logistic company for so long, so I know legal, she knows logistics, and her friend's friend has the product. So what can I do?
Yeah. So then you're like there. You'll realize that in Indonesia that you're saying you've got a few options. So you're saying that we can do lawyer, we can be, right? There's legal professions which are, respected practices, right? Respected occupations. So then you kind of get stuck in that. You choose to be a lawyer. You go through that process, which is great, and then you realize it's not for you. But interesting, isn't it? How even though you realize it wasn't for you, the interesting part was that in what you became next, which was mum doing logistics into export, being a lawyer and having that brain and that training is essential, right? Is that right? So it's interesting how you were either guided. Do you think you were guided to it, or do you think you were like led to it? It was free will become that, or you were guided by something else? That's the question.
Wow, it's hard to say. I feel like it's really unexplainable, but also explainable, because I feel like sometimes in life we think like, oh, universe just gonna do it for us, right? Yes and no. Like, I feel like in that time, flashing back to just choose to enter law school or not, if I didn't do that conversation with my mom and really like just sat down and like, okay, so what will be a good option? At least it's not going to be the best option, but what will be a good option that is possible for me to do now while I'm not even sure what I want to do, right? So what I saw was, okay, if I get into law school, I can be a lawyer, I can be a notary, I can give legal advice, or blah blah blah, or the least I have that knowledge, right? And then we were thinking like, oh, legal, I can work anywhere. So I had that thought with my mom, so she was the one who really guided me through that mindset. So it was necessary, but also I realized that now it's important without even realize. But what interesting is, I wouldn't do what I do now if I don't be conscious. Because I was this, like, I have the knowledge. My mom worked for a logistic company. My mom friend's friend has the products. But if I was just like, so what? Nothing happened, right? So I'm like, okay, what I can do. And I think it came a lot with me, flashback, and I grew up without spending much time with my parents. So I was always have to be with my own. I was always gotta be independent and find my way, and like, so. And my grandparents are the best. Like, And you know what's funny? Until I have the export company, I didn't realize that my grandfather was a farmer. He was a farmer. I didn't know. Like I wasn't conscious that a farmer is a farmer that do that, you know?
Guided or led? Do you understand now? So it's like quite often, things happen to us, and like for example, for me, I'm a speaker, right? And I'm getting more and more passionate about building communities and growing up in a children's home and all the rest of this. And then I realized recently, right, 10, 15 years ago, when I met my dad again, that in our family tree, people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, right, the guys that underpinned the American Civil Rights Movement. I had no idea about that. And the more that I live my life, the more I know I'm going on that direction, right, and building communities as I have been doing over the last number of years. But I didn't know that, right? So in some ways, I've been guided to this. In the same way as you didn't even know that your grandfather, so you've wound up, you got it? So you've wound up supporting and nurturing what was already in your blood.
Wow.
You got me? Yeah, your granddad was a farmer, and you had no idea. So were you led? So this is part of it. But another question drops in. Like for me, again, you come across as a person who is very, as I mentioned before, in service of others, right? So in life, and this is no right or wrong, I kind of believe that you can be, a person who is in service of yourself, which is fine, or a person who's in service of others, right? So you're a person who's in service of others. Where do you think that came from?
Wow. Where? I think it's because of my grandparents and my parents. And I'm a Catholic, by the way. In Indonesia, we have our religion written in our ID card. So whether you want it or not, right? But then my belief really is the ones that have that really push me through. And when do I feel like I need to do it? I don't know. Really, there's no answer. Like one day, and I realized like I'm really doing this. But when did I start? Like, because I feel like, oh, now I think I know what it was. So I do what I do right now. I'm empowering. By the way, like I've done 4 seminars in Bali so far, within 2 weeks. And what I do is I teach people how to do export business, right? And so I can only talk as much because I see what really happened in the field. And as Indonesian, I didn't have information back then. But once I really jump into the business and I have experience and I've met a lot of farmers, hearing their story, there's no way I don't do anything. There's no way. Maybe if somebody else will say like, okay, fuck it, I'm not gonna do anything, right? But for me, because I feel like I wasn't born rich. I wasn't. Like I still remember when I was a kid, we ate like rice and salt. So I wasn't born rich. And my parents really working so hard to make it, to make it. And so now I see people, I see like it's like projection of what we were, right? And then if I were in that situation, I would expect the help. And so right now, I just want to give back that God, our universe, like give us this opportunity, to have better life. And now it's time to help others, I think.
And so now, other siblings, how many do you have and what are they doing? What are they up to? What kind of people are they?
What kind of people? I have 2 brothers, younger brothers. The first one, he's I think 18. He's in university. He's studying. His major is in taxation. So I think he will grow. I will need his service in future, right? And the second one, he's 8. Lovely boy. I love him so much. I haven't seen him like I think 5 months now. And so he's living life. He's living life like just enjoying playing, and then he loves he loves sports. So I have a online basketball academy with when one partner. It's Olu's friend, by the way, if Olu's watching. Yeah, so I'm just like kind of like make him go towards that direction. Okay, play basketball with basketball, you know. Yeah, that's it.
And so here's it. So your life at home. So mum and dad, you know, they're looking to ensure that you get the best start in life, that you have a good occupation or business behind you, and then you end up choosing having those choices, law, and then moving on, and your mum and friend, and then so now, but you set up a company, right? So you're CEO of Semesta Indonesia. So then, why did you think that you needed to set up your own company?
It's funny. It's really funny. You know, I woke up one day. This is real story, right? I woke up one day, and suddenly it's just, you know what? I want to make company, and I will call it Semesta Indonesia because Semesta means universe in English. So it's like I will literally sell anything that's come from under the ocean to anything that grows trees, anything from Indonesia. So why do that matters in export business? Because when I started, my first sale was to sell raw cashew nuts. So in this product, there's no way I will do retail with that. So I needed to do wholesale, right? So if I have to do wholesale, there are just a lot of export documents, export licenses that I need to make in order to do the business, right? And so I made it. And then when it's interesting because you mentioned like, oh, my parents are like supporting the business, blah blah blah. Well, they weren't. They didn't understand what it was. Like for them, like, are you like really doing business? Like, are you really? They just don't, because see, I'm in Bali now. I'm still working. They don't understand the idea of I can still working in my house anywhere else on my laptop, right? So when I started, it was not. They weren't supportive in a way. They support me because they love me, but not because they understand, right? They're like, oh yeah, do what you gotta do. That's it. And my father is very tough. So he's like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to go through this path? Because I didn't even ask them money, nothing. All they know is like right now I'm in Bali, and then I'm in Jakarta, and then I'm like in Lombok and the other island. But they were confused, like, do you really have that much money? You know, like how can you travel? You know, so it was not an easy, not an easy journey to begin with. But I think if you guys want to start export business in wholesale, forming company is one of a good option. But if you just want to do retail, like it's not really necessary. Yeah.
So you mentioned it's very difficult. So what kind of difficulty? What was the hardest thing that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
To start the business, the hardest thing, not being lazy. Literally, that is the hardest thing. You know what? I think, I don't know, export business is still business at the end of the day, right? But it's just more complicated. It's more complicated. There are a lot of elements attached to it. Like you need to know the products, and then how many, the quantity, and then the logistic, and then the regulations, and this and that. But it was not the hardest, I'll say. You know, I don't want to be arrogant, but it's something that I could learn. It's something that we can all learn. But what was really important was to really make myself like, you know, stop being lazy. Stop bitching about I don't know enough, or I cannot do this, or I don't have enough money. There's always a way. And right now I feel like just the fact that I wasn't giving up, it pays off gradually after what, 2-3 years. Because now sometimes I get emails from people I don't even know, and then they're like, yeah, we got we got information about you from this person, and it's just happened like that right now. But when it started, it was not. And what kept me going was because I love what I do. And then again, because this is not just about me, it's not just about me or Semesta Indonesia get a lot of profits, or Semesta Indonesia be like the biggest exporter, the biggest, I don't know, like chocolate exporter or like whatever exporter here. But it's about we deliver our message that we want to make that change to help what has been happening wrong. And I really can say it's wrong, because how can us as a very rich country, and we are not rich, only just a little bit of people that have that, that heart to really share, right? There a lot of mafia happening here for export, and what we can do is, like, instead of saying like, oh, I cannot do this because it's already mafia here and there, here and there. Well, we can still do it somehow. We just need to find a way, and like every day meeting people, networking, reading, pray, do whatever it takes to make it through. Yeah.
So then, growing up as a kid, right? So you were there in Jimber. Love that. So you're there in Jimber, and so then your parents wanted a certain way for you, right? So between 0 and 7, think back, right? See if you can get there. All right, 0 to 7. So what was the biggest challenge that you remember? Like the thing that you found hardest to deal with when you were young? Maybe not 0 to 7, but when you were younger, what was the hardest thing that you found to deal with?
The hardest. Maybe not to spend much time with my parents. And I feel like it's still something that impacting me right now, because I feel like, 7 years old me was not getting enough attention, was not spending time with people that I love, and I was just basically staying with whoever available at that time to take care of me. And so it was not what was hard back then, but it's about what is hard right now, to really get out from that scar, and maybe not just maybe just like acknowledging that scar, and just accept, as you also taught me to, and just accept the fact that I couldn't change what happened. But then if it didn't happen as well, I'm probably not be who I am now, because I saw when I was younger, it was hard to be me, not getting love, not getting money, not blah blah blah. And now I'm trying to give as much to people who might need it, in any form. It could be just as simply as say hello or say thank you to them and make their day, or if you want to take it more, like really help them in a financial scale. I think that's it.
Got it. Yeah, because I mean, what I know about you, we had a bit of a session the other day, which was really nice. What is that? Again, like you have this tremendous love for people, right? And quite often, what we kind of notice is that it's either something that you have as you're growing up, or something that you don't have as you're growing up, and you're trying to make up for it, right? So again, I don't figure out the questions before I ask them. They come in and I ask them, right? And then later on, I realize why I asked it. But the interesting thing about your story, what I find is that, as you mentioned, you were reaching out for love, right, as you were growing up, as many of us do, and it wasn't really coming back, and yet now you find yourself in a position, to give it, to give maybe what you didn't have, right? And you're doing it through what you're doing now in terms of export and looking after farmers and doing all of that, which I find kind of interesting. And we spoke before a little bit about the perfectionist within you, right? This perfectionist that wanted to be perfect, that wanted to impress, right? Your parents, impress a figure that's kind of older, right? So I think it would be interesting for everybody who's watching this to maybe hear about this, because I know that a lot of people suffer from this, right? So if I paint the picture quickly, if you don't mind me doing so. I just think it would be of value, right? So we had a session the other day about speaking, and what you were saying to me was that it was something that you were nervous about in public, particularly when it came to older people. And and what we kind of got to as we were coaching through it was that you grew up with this idea of wanting to be perfect for your parents, and there was an interplay going on there when perhaps you weren't able to be. And then when you're because as a speaker, when you're speaking to people, it's like you're interpreting how they look. And so, well, that person's judging me, this person's judging me. And at the end of the day, we don't know. It's what our mind tells us, right? And because these people were older, it was like you were identifying them as being your parent, and there was this interplay of not feeling like you were enough, right? And there was a few breakthroughs that happened around that. Can you let us know if anything came up after that for you, any insights through that, or came up after that session, anything that happened for you?
I feel like Bali is magical, because there are different type of people from around the world having different jobs, and it's just, this place is so diverse. There's a lot of perspective and values, right? And now that I got to reflect on that again, being Indonesian. Why I always say like being Indonesian, because that's how they set our mind to, somehow I was living in an environment that says like I only have certain options to live my life: get a job, get a good profession, get married, have kids, right? And so this perspective is what my parents have, especially my dad, because he's like old school, blah blah blah. And so, and then in the family, I was like the black sheep, like I went to great high school. I actually in junior high school I got the highest score for final exam, like in my city, I think, all around Surabaya or like East Java, I don't remember. And then I went to the best high school, and then I went to I did my law school, even though I didn't want it. Still got a scholarship, still did cum laude, so I basically do it great, right? So I think they get used to that idea about me. And so when I realized like, oh, my life doesn't fit me anymore, and I was lost, it's like, oh, you change, right? And so that's when I realized like, oh, I've been living my life in a perfection that somebody else created for me. In this case, my parents or my big family or my environment, right? And so I don't, it can be a good thing, because it's something that makes me do what I do now, and I do it great because I have that perfection, but also something that kind of slow me down right now, right? Because we had this conversation as well, like I have the perfection that, oh, I need to really reach this certain point, right? But then after I reached it, like what else? Because the perfection is already there, and I don't know nothing beyond that. And so when we had the conversation, like, oh yeah, and they introduced me to this word mastery, instead of like thinking, oh, I need to do it perfect. Like in long term, why not just about I just gotta give my best of what I can give to the room, to the environment right now, today, And so having that like kind of wake me up. Like, oh yeah, Irena, you don't need to push yourself that hard for like what happened tomorrow, what was happening in your life, what was happening wrong. Instead of being that, I'm like, yeah, this is the best version of me that I can give to myself, to my company, to others, to my family. And what's gonna happen tomorrow is tomorrow. So thank you for that conversation too.
Yeah, no, but it was a great insight, and it's always symbiotic. There's always moving backwards and forwards, It's never one way. And so look, moving into the export side now, because a few people here will probably be wondering about that. So Now, you said that you give lessons in exporting. Can you explain a little bit about what you go into and how people can join it?
It's just happening recently. So I've been sharing, I've been teaching like friends or students or local entrepreneurs or local farmers how to do export before, but it was more like just casual, and I got to Bali and then we are here. It's just one perfect example. I didn't know this is possible. I didn't know that actually having a real class is possible. I got invited before in like few other events, but it was more like somebody else event and I just came as a speaker. But now in Bali, it's just suddenly I realized I have the opportunity to do it by myself. So I just started 2 weeks ago in Ubud. It was 2 events back to back. The first one was in English, so it was like for foreigners who want to start export business here, and the second one is for Indonesians who probably want to start export business as well, but in Bahasa Indonesia. So what I teach is usually just how to start, but more often from my experience, like just sharing my story, they're not sure that they want to start it because they confuse a lot and just like have a lot of internal thoughts, about export instead of actually do what is necessary. Because they might be thinking like, oh, maybe I need to form a company, or maybe I need to do this, maybe I need to get certain certification, blah 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 blah, and so ended up not doing export at all. But also because this information is super limited here. So what I do is I just want to do it for free. By the way, you need to pay. Like there are like several events, but you need to pay a lot of money for that. But what I want to encourage people now is just to tell the story, share the knowledge and skills of how to do it, so more people are being encouraged. Because now I feel like in Bali, I'm in the middle of two perspectives, right? Foreigners here, they've been living in Bali for so many years, months, and they're looking for doing something else during this pandemic. And there are Indonesians, like farmers, who are having a lot of land, or local entrepreneurs have like just products in Bali, and they're looking for how do I do this, right? And I feel like legal part was the least I cared about when I started, and people don't believe me. They don't. They're like, "What? Are you serious?" Yes, I'm serious. I didn't care about that. What I care was, where can I get a buyer? What is the product that I'm selling? Because often, if not all, they think like, oh, I want to form a company, I want to obtain an export license. Okay, then I ask, what do you want to export? I don't know, but I just want to get export license. Well, by the way, guys, there's no way as a one for all export license. Every product has its own regulations attached to it, has its own document. So for instance, if I want to export coffee beans, I might need 8 different types of documents. But if I want to export vanilla beans, I might need 5 different documents. So this is important to really understand, what do you want to sell and which country do you want to sell to, right? Because people expect that there is like a certain textbook for export. Like there's like export Bible, one for all, like just one book that has like Pandora box, like has all of the answer. Where there's no such thing, because when we do export, there are three regulations that we need to comply with. The first one is Indonesian regulations to export. The second one is logistic regulation, like shipping, blah, blah, blah. And the third one is the regulation in that destination country. So we really need to be careful of these 3 regulations, right? And then there's another story about the products. I love to talk about the products, because when you do export, sometimes we just get distracted by the fact that, I need to obtain license. Don't care about the license, guys. take it easy, all right? Worry about your products, because people think they know their product. Well, they're not, because export is so different. It's not just knowing what your product is, but knowing how your product is. What is like, okay, I have this clothes. This clothes is blue. The price is like 50,000 rupiah. But knowing how the product is really understanding the nature of the product. So let's say if I want to ship raw cashew nuts, I need to make sure that it reach in a week, within a week, because above a week, I will lose money. Because of why? It gets dries up along the journey. So let's say if I wanna ship to Vietnam like 1,000 kilo, right? I might need to ship 1,020 kilo, because 20 kilo will dries up until it reach. So this kind of thing, and maybe like also if I want to export raw cashew nuts, I need to use certain bags, because it cannot just be any bags. Because if it uses this bag, it's gonna be molded, right? And then I cannot just use any container. It needs to be a special container, like special like certain temperature, certain this and that. There's like so many things attached to the nature of the product that we need to care about as an exporter or someone who wants to do export, instead of worrying about rules and documents, because often we think we know what is right. Like I give you one example. The other day in the seminar, one person, she wants to export powder, like herbal powder, from Indonesia to somewhere. Okay, and I asked her how many is the quantity, and she says 5 kilo. Okay, you don't need because I know, right? I know what's up, right? You don't need to be so confused of like sending 5 kilos of product to the States, for instance, right? But then her biggest concern was how should I get BPOM? BPOM is like a registration number to prove that this product is natural and blah blah blah. And she says like I need to get that, right? I want to make sure I get that before I send to this country. Well, my biggest question is that destination country acknowledging this certification? Because if not, there's like no point of you spending like a year getting this registration number. At the end of the day, your buyer doesn't even care, right? So these things happen a lot, especially newcomers or people who are just thinking to do export. They have their own conclusion, their own thoughts, like I really need to do this, to do that, without actually just ask. I ask them, just ask your buyer, what do they need? And that's it. If your buyer doesn't care about certification number, if your buyer doesn't care about packaging, let's say, why do you care so much? Because I like to remind them, and I ask them when I open the seminar, I always ask, what is the purpose, what is the goal of you guys here right now want to do the export? And everybody agree with me, money. Like, I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy, financial freedom. Yes. But then their attitude toward the industry doesn't reflect the goal. If the goal is to make money, do export right now, that can generate income, that can generate money, right? Because often people have their idealism. They think, oh, I wanna sell, and often in Bali, furniture, and I wanna export furniture, teak wood, so cheap. You know how much it's like in Europe? Yes, I know, but it's like their idealism, right? But does it bring you money right now? If you wanna sell right now, do you have buyer right now that needs it? That's the biggest question. And if it's not, how long does it take for you to actually sell one furniture, right? Sometimes what we can export is something around us. If, for me, right now, like, if my buyer freaking need like this glass, I will export this glass. I don't care. It's not fancy. It's not like something that I can probably, I'm an exporter of like a glass from Indonesia. It's not something that I can show off to my friend, but it's something that can bring me money, right? So understanding the difference, like what's the goal, and focus on that and focus on the customer instead of other elements that don't really necessary. Yeah.
That's really powerful. And look, because we're here and because, as you mentioned before, you do both. You do the English speaking side and you do the Indonesian Bahasa side. So those two audiences, Indonesia and expats. So is there anything they have in common or anything which is different when you run the seminar? Same questions, different questions? Is the point of view the same? Is the things they don't understand the same? Like tell us a little bit about, I'm interested to know the difference between English or expats and Indonesians on this.
So much different.
Just a couple of things.
So much. I think Indonesians are more passionate. They are more willing to learn. Because, like, you ever heard about the glass, if it's like full or half empty or empty? I think all of the Indonesian participants came to my seminar with empty glass. So they're really, maybe they're just clueless, like they don't know anything. But anyway, they are willing to accept the information. They're willing to listen. And often foreigners came to my seminar, or like they came to me privately asking about export, and they think they know what they're doing. Well, at the end of the day, I asked them, right? So if you guys know enough, what's stopping you? What makes you haven't done it right now? Because it's not just about me being arrogant, but like really, I just want to help, right? So sometimes they're like, oh yeah, we already know that. Okay, guys, what can I do? Sometimes just let me know what I can help. And they're like, yeah, we're just doing research. We're just looking for opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And it really, like, for me, I want to help, not just to share knowledge, right? Because like I'm not selling course. I want to help you to make money, especially during this time, right? During this COVID time, almost everyone is struggling, right? I want to help foreigners or locals making money right now, right? That's my goal, and what I'm teaching is really starting export business with low investment or zero money, like no money at all. So sometimes it's like contradictive, right? From like the value that I want to deliver and the feedback that I get. Yeah.
Got it. That's great to know, because the interesting part, I think it was McKinsey, one of the big companies, management companies, did a report, like a projection about Indonesia, and I think it's by 2040 from memory, it will be in the top 4 economies in the world or something. But it's interesting because, again, I think here, just personally, I find a mix of both as well. And knowing that, it's a country which, puts on its board, who's heading up education, one of the smartest minds in the world, really, like the co-founder of Gojek, Nadim, right? And, to be head of education, to me, that shows insight, shows intellect, and it shows a forward-thinking ideology which is going to put you above everybody else going forward, because you donate that much attention to it. And in hearing you say that one of the cardinal differences between the foreigner and Indonesian is this willingness to learn, that's extremely powerful. Like I never would have got that, and it's super powerful. And when you combine those two together, it's going to give you a really great outcome, which is fantastic. But now catching up just on something that you said. So you're saying about, it's about your goal. So if your goal is to make money, right, then there's a certain bunch of things you should look at. Or if your goal is to export a certain product because you have an affection for it and so on, then perhaps your goal will be X. So I'm pretty sure that once you said it, people here will be probably wondering, what is it? So if you wanted to make money right now with minimum investment, which product would it be and why?
Anything. Why?
Which product would it be and why?
Anything, basically.
Making money with anything?
Anything, because I feel like there are a few important elements when it comes to export. The product itself, the quantity, logistics, in terms of payment. this is something that people don't realize often, right? Terms of payment is very important, especially in wholesale business, in import, in export, in wholesale product, right? Why? Because let's say retail, you're selling 5 kilos, you can easily get paid from PayPal or TransferWise or whatever options available, Bitcoin maybe. But when it comes to wholesale, and then let's say in my case, raw cashew nut in one shipping, minimum one container, it worth 1 billion rupiah. So how do I get paid, right? It takes time. You need to learn. Like there are options like letter of credit or down payment or this and that. That's something that I share as well, that I teach as well. And so it's just the elements of the export that is important, that sometimes the product is less important. But the key is just start with product that we have control of, that we have access to. Because I can say right now what's good in the business right now is like coffee, right? But if some of the viewers don't have access for coffee, that might not be good for them. It can make money for me, but not them, right? Vanilla beans also high demand, but if if they don't have access to it, like it doesn't happen, right? So really choose a product that you guys can have control of, that you can see, you can touch, you can feel, not just like I heard, not just I heard, no, seeing with your own eyes, feel it, study it, knowing and understanding the nature of the product, how it is what's the type? Because right now, because I'm selling coffee beans, for instance, I know the types of coffee beans like Arabica, Robusta, Specialty, Excelsa, Liberica. I can talk a lot to my buyer. I can tell them a story about coffee, right? Let's say that. That's what makes me different, I think, and that's what makes the business gets easier over time, and I get trust from the buyer, right? But if I don't understand what I sell, I might not making it. But just hint, if you want to do export, coffee from Indonesia is good. Vanilla beans, cinnamon, cloves, spices are the good direction to go. Yeah.
Got it. And look, so last question on this one. One of the things which I love about you is that, so the service, and we spoke about it a little bit before, the service that you offer is that, is this quality control, right? And this quality control is super important because, if, you have a client which is in a different country and they're expecting a product to be delivered in a certain way, certain level of quality, and on this side, maybe a day or so before it's shipped, I have somebody check it, they check it, the product looks great, and then in between the time that I leave and the time that it's shipped, certain things are removed and an inferior product is put in, right? And then by the time it reaches the port, it's like, well, hang on a second, the quality isn't good. And one of the things I love about you is you have a service which is your QC, right? So you make sure that what's supposed to be in those X amount of containers is what is shipped, right? Because again, any country, I'm sure this kind of happens, but how difficult is your job?
Very difficult. I think when I started, I didn't have money. Like literally, there's almost no money in my bank account 3 years ago. And I struggled the first year. The second year, I started to make money a little bit. And then, because I didn't have, I used my buyer money to source the product. And it was a lot. It was like a lot of money. I've never hold that much money before in my life. And I'll tell you a funny story about it, right? So it was 2 years ago, raw cashew nut, right? I was with three guys, one business partner and 2 staff, and we were in a warehouse packing raw cashew nut in a bag. So we were documenting everything, like really basically have your eyes everywhere, right? Make sure they really put in what it is, right? And they showing the bags, right? And take pictures, and it's necessary, by the way, to take picture of the products in the warehouse before we leave. Because of why? For instance, like if it's shipped like this when I leave and I take picture, and then tomorrow it's like this, you know something's wrong, right? But I was so scared, and I had no experience. You know what I did? After they locked the warehouse, like we all can see it's locked, right? But the ones who lock the warehouse is the seller that I'm purchasing from, right? So they could have just opened it in the middle of the night and change it. So what we did was we slept in front of the warehouse in a car, like literally in front of the gate that is sealed, that is locked, until it comes to a loading, to the truck,
Wow.
So
And you know what, that perfectionist streak of you, right?
no, because I
it
don't
was
have
great.
options. Like,
No, but like that was actually needed, right? So it's funny you get what's needed, and your background kind of taught you that,
and
and you needed
what?
it.
Like it was a lot of money. Like I couldn't afford losing, because I couldn't just tell my daddy, like, Daddy, I need money, or Mommy, I need money, because they don't have it. And so if I lost it, I literally can just tell my brother, you can kill me now. I don't have the money. It was like 2 billion rupiah maybe. And I was like, maybe I only have like 5 million rupiah in my bank account. Like there's no way, right? So coming from the fear and the perfectionist side that I cannot lose it, this cannot go wrong. Like this is time to prove that I'm doing a great job, to prove that this is worth the business to my parents. Was all of those things were driving me to make it.
Wow.
So
And then and then like coming full circle now. So if someone was going to start, the business that you're doing now, and you said that maybe there's the 3 most important things, or the 2 most important things, what would they be?
3 to start export business. Wow, there are a lot of important things, but let's say 3. First, learn and don't be greedy, because this has happened to me. Before, I had the mindset, if I have small profit, it's better for me not to sell. That was what I was thinking. And what happened? I really couldn't sell. I didn't make the sales because I was like, oh, it's not worth my time, it's not worth my energy, blah blah blah. But now, coming from that mindset, and it didn't work for me, and I changed my mindset to, when we start, just not losing is enough, because we don't have experience anyway. We never learn. So if I just jump into the business and like I'm suddenly, okay, I'm selling like 1 kilo of coffee like 200,000, and all the sellers selling 150, we're not gonna win. Even though we have like the best quality, blah blah blah, we'll maybe making a little bit of sales, but just catch the attention first by just get enough profit. Or for me, I did a lot of sales that I don't make profit at all. Like it's literally just selling, but it's good, and it's enough to build the trust from my buyer that tomorrow they might buy more, that really can bring me money. So learn and don't be greedy is first. Second, don't think too much of what you think is right instead of doing what is necessary to be done. And why? Because often we have our own speculations, our own thoughts, or like we hear export is hard. Yeah, it is not easy. If it's easy, everybody will do it, right? It's not gonna be that easy, but it's very possible to do. And so study, Google is the best friend. Just ask him, like, spend like 10 seconds Googling export documents for vanilla beans. It's easy, right? And just do a little bit of reading, as the right person, maybe go to the, I don't know, a legal, or like go to me. Actually, guys, just reach me, just send me email, questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, how many questions you ask, I would gladly to reply. Get information from a person who's done that before instead of person like thinking, about doing it. The third is it's very controversial, but legal part is the least I'm cared about. Don't worry about being legal. Don't worry about forming a company. Don't worry about that. Worry about what the product is and be very specific about it. Learn about it and worry about getting the buyer. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Some great tips there. Great tips. And look, so in a minute, we're going to do a bit of a closing. So maybe now just have a think. If there's anything that maybe you haven't said and you think this could be really relevant to say now, or anything which is like this is really important for you guys to know. Now this can be personal, or it can be more related to business. Okay. And in the meantime, so guys who are watching here, so every Monday, you can see this, YouTube, Instagram Live, and Facebook as well. You can see this here, Speak Up Monday. And
Amazing.
And the interesting part is that there's a lot of Indonesian guests coming in, which is super exciting, right? Because one of the things which obviously we love is about absolutely digging deep and finding out more about Indonesian culture, how that plays out in business, how that plays out in life, and how we can learn from it as well, right? So that's one thing which I'm really looking forward to. And each week I'm learning something different, learning from you, for example, that this willingness to learn, and it was staring me in the face, but I didn't get it, and it's so important, it's so valuable. And this foreigner mentality of I know it, but I'm not doing it, right? Love that. Again, that's what you found. So look, maybe look in closing, is there anything that you wish the people to basically understand or to keep in mind, or some advice that drops into your mind that you want to share?
Whoa. It's deep. Well, I don't know. I think a lot of my friends, my fellow Indonesian friends, are watching right now, or foreigners watching right now. I feel like really need to, if I gotta be really honest, I wasn't proud being Indonesian. I wasn't, I had I had imagination. What if I was British? What if I was American? Great passport. Like I can do whatever I want. I don't need visa. Blah blah blah. I wasn't happy being Indonesian, right? And then growing up, I realized like, wow, Indonesia is amazing. That's why people come into Bali, guys. That's why you are here. No, like that's why a lot of amazing thing happens here. Nature's, beaches, people are lovely, amazing, nice people, right? And so the question is, what makes us not being the best, or like what makes us getting that bad image? Maybe like, oh, Indonesians don't do a great job. Indonesians are this or that. Is what is our being fit to from our parents, grandparents, ancestors, family, blah 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 blah. And I feel like if we just have a little bit of courage of doing what we love to do, if we just have a little bit of just do it. Life is not just about learning, not just about going to university, graduate, get married, have kids. If we just a little bit, being aware of what around us and have that push, like, Indonesia is great. Being Indonesia, now I can say that I'm proud of being Indonesia. I'm proud of being Indonesians, like really, and that's something I didn't have. Why? Because as you said, like right, like we just have like so many good ingredients. Like the Gojek founder, he's Indonesian and he could make it. What makes us cannot make it? And then it's interesting that you mentioned like Indonesian participants are very willing, very very willing to learn, and they're just so excited. You know what's missing? It's just the opportunity. What's missing is just people like you and me and people here in Bali doing what we do, like, motivating others, just sharing a little bit of what we know. And I feel like sometimes we just don't care. That's what I see sometimes, being Indonesian, or maybe I already have family. I cannot do anything else, like our life is just about having enough. That's something that is very important, by the way. I just remember, it just popped up. We Indonesians are being fed by being enough is enough. Having enough is enough. It's not. It's not. It's not just about getting 5 million salary every month for the rest of your life. That's not enough. You know what's enough is if you just do what you really love to do, guys, and just do it. Just do it. And me, I'm willing to share. I'm willing to help, and really just a lot of amazing people. I've been friends with a lot of people in the business that is nice. And actually, I'm kind of old soul, so I have a lot of friends that like very like older than me, and more often successful people, they're willing to share their knowledge because they see what they were in you. So be aware, uh, be be brave, and be proud of being Indonesians. Yeah. Brother, Libran brother, thank you for having me. Wow, it's amazing. I was so, I was so nervous, but I love it. Because you know what? It's not just about me right now, It's about me. I'm calling Wahyu. We just met Wahyu before this Speak Up Monday. I'm calling my fellow Indonesians to be brave and to do what you love, which our parents don't teach us. But right now, it's time to change. Change our generation, and we will change our next generation. I think that is the most important thing that I want to deliver today. Then love it. I got children. Wow. It's still going. Wow.
We're still going.
Wow.
Well, you know what? There's one last question I do want to ask you.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave it there, but it's just hitting me. So you're an Indonesian beautiful woman, right? So we had Matilda Dwi Lestari and Frankie, the first female Indonesian team to climb the 7 highest mountains on Earth, or the highest mountain on 7 continents, including Everest, right? Incredible, right? So, yeah. So as a woman now, right? You're in Indonesia. The culture is mainly Muslim in terms of religion, and Muslim has a certain perspective, I think, about how women should conduct themselves and what they can do and so on. So like, when I say to you, like, what is it like being a woman in Indonesia, being a CEO of your own company, being the founder of your own company, like what comes back?
It was different from what I was expecting, honestly. And maybe it comes a lot with me, like, I'm a person that is, I don't really care what people think about me in a good way, right? And so I was thinking, like, oh, being a woman is hard. Being a woman, people won't take me seriously. I had my own perspective, right? But in fact, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Being a young woman in this industry, people are thinking like, wow, wow. Like, they hear my name, they don't expect to see me. They expect like seeing 40 years old women like in a old school clothes or something, and then they see me. And 3 years ago, I was like 23. I just turned 25, right? So 23 2 years ago. They're like, how old are you? Maybe I look old. They're like, oh, I'm like 23. Why are you doing this? I mean, I don't know. It just happened. And I saw a lot of encouragement from people. Because the thing is, like, I'm always put my mindset focusing on people who love me, or people who who are supportive to me. I think I learned a lot from my experience with my parents. My dad is very tough, and my mom is very lovely. So being in this family, instead of focusing on why my dad is so tough, why my dad is like he has a lot of expectation, like blah blah blah. Instead of thinking that way, I'm focusing on my mom and how much love she has for me and how much she fight for me in front of my family, because my big family is like Muslim and we're Catholic. And like a Muslim's like, why are you like just like let her dress that way? Why you let her going to Bali alone? There's a lot of why and what if, and she's not safe enough. She's not the person that we expect her to be. So my mom fighting a lot for me right now. She wasn't understand, but she's trying to understand. So with that experience, I bring that to the society right now, to the business, instead of thinking of, oh, people think like, oh, people take me like not seriously because I'm young, right? So what? I'm not gonna do business with you. And right now, I can proudly say, I don't wanna do business with you, right? Because it's not just about doing business with everyone that can make me money. It's about building the relationship and doing business with people that I trust, that can I really think long term, you know. That's why people love to come back to ask help, opinion, or make business with me, because I'm being honest of what I can offer and what not. And I'm being honest, or like, all right, let's build this trust, and so we can build long-term relationship or connections, collaborations that's going to benefit not just me and you, but also the others, right? So having the mindset is very important. Yeah.
And you're 25, Mamma Mia.
Oh,
Wow, I just got to say, holy gee, you are. I am so impressed and inspired by you. You're amazing. Like 25, CEO, own company, founder, looking after farmers, looking after Indonesia, looking after yourself, your family, and just blazing a trail. You know, like, whoa. And born on October 13.
I'm proud of you two doing
Living
this.
sister.
And I love SpeakuP Monday. Why? Because it's just people and their story, right? And that's why I came when we spoke the first time. I was like, I don't know if I will do it. I don't know if I will say the right thing. I don't know if I will do it right. But then you remind me that it's about my story and my perspective. And sometimes it's not just it's not even about me, right? It's about the message that I want to deliver. And everything what I say right now is just to share what I came out with and what I'm fighting for right now. I'm really fighting for, because I need more people to do this. You know, I can just do as much. I can just do so much, but I'm alone, right? If I can just find another person like me or Wahyu or my friend, my COO back home, shout out, we can do much more. And I just got call this morning. Wow, it's amazing. I just got called this morning from the Ministry of State Secretariat in Indonesia, that I'm gonna be representing. I'm gonna be a representative from Indonesia for like a training program. So there's only like 35 participants around Asia, and so they text me today in WhatsApp. I'm like, why me? Why me? You know. But what's funny was, you know why? Because I know this person 2 years ago when I was working as a translator, right? But it was 2 years ago. Why didn't they call me last year? Why do they call me now that I am who I am now? Right? If they call me last year, you probably would say you're a nice shit, right? but now I'm more ready, you know. Now I'm like, yeah, let's do it, you know. And right, I see this opportunity as, you know, this is like God's way to tell me that I'm doing the right thing, I'm on the right path, and I just gonna keep fighting on what I believe and what I want to give back to the community, and I'm not just gonna stop. So if any one of you feel what I feel right now, feel free to DM me on Instagram at Irena_Audila or Facebook Irena Audila. Just say hi, leave a message. we will do so much. We can do a lot. We will continue pushing through this. Right. Yeah.
Love it. And like, so if I asked you, right, what is it you need? What kind of people do you need, or what resources do you need? What would your answer be? So people out here know what you need. It's about, because lots of times people like you and me, right, we're both Librans, October 13, we give a lot, but we can find it sometimes difficult to receive. So now you're in receiving mode. You've given today, so now it's time for you to receive. So what do you need to receive? What types of people, resources, or what is it, materials? What is it you need to go forward to fight this fight that you're fighting?
That will be amazing if anyone hearing this can just lend us a space, like an office or something, because I have a dream that I want to build learning center. Actually, 5% from our profit is being saved. That one day we're gonna build learning center free of charge for anyone who wants to learn about export or business or English. So first, infrastructure. I want to build like a home base where people can just come and ask anything, life, business, export, or simply just get motivated, because motivation is the thing that's lack here, right? People is lacking of motivation. Why? Because we're being fed by rubbish, in television, like only like dancing, Indonesian channels, like only dancing, or like just a movie, like not even good movie, like not good message. That's what I mean, right? So we're not being motivated. It's just a place to be able to be that is able to really be a bridge between me and my company to the others, like teaching, coaching, mentoring, whatever, right? That's first. And second is, if you are in the export business, if you're living in Surabaya, especially in Java, and you're willing to share your knowledge, that will be great, because I would love to just like have a Facebook group or like WhatsApp group just to say hi, just to like asking what everybody's doing, and like let's meet up. Or like if you have like a space, like a cafe everywhere, anywhere, I could just come. I'm probably gonna be in Jakarta or other island in the next week. So I would love to do more seminars. And if you are government officials, please give more opportunity for Semesta Indonesia to be that one gate between farmers, small and medium enterprises, to the international market, international clients. And I know the government is able. It's just we just need a chance, and I think we're going to the right direction. Yeah, right.
Mamma mia, I want to clap and scream and dance. I think that's the show for today. Amazing. Thanks, guys. We'll wrap it there. Wow.